Radio Al-Ansar, Durban, 90.4 FM, Peter Maritzburg, 105.6 FM.
Every student can learn, just not on the same day or the same way. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. Education's purpose is to replace an empty mind with an opened one.
Join Sumaya Khan every Tuesdays between 7 and 8 p.m. for an educational evening exclusive to Radio Al-Ansar.
Your education is a dress rehearsal for a life that is yours to lead.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to School Matters. Yes, please excuse the frog in my throat. Well, some said it sounded very nice, and I feel like, no, not nice. And as we were coming to the radio, it was cats and dogs. It was a storm. It was pouring. But alhamdulillah, my guest and myself have made it, and everybody who was going home, Alhamdulillah, we all had a lovely day, appreciating the blessings from the Almighty. I had a very, very long day. Was at Al-Falah College Junior Primary School Sports. Alhamdulillah, our little ones did well and had fun. And even the parents, well done to the educators, going the extra mile, and emphasizing on fitness and being active and to have our little ones so involved. Well, your GP specialist tells you need to do something, you need to exercise. When you go for your checkup, when we're small, we take fitness for granted. But as we get older, the pressure, the sugar, the cholesterol, and our GP says we need to be fit. And then you realize, gosh, walking for 30 minutes makes what a difference. Well, it's never too late to start. Well, the 2025 Comrades Marathon is fast approaching, set for Sunday, 8th of June. This year, the race is a down run starting at 5:30 a.m. in Pietermaritzburg and finishing in Durban by 5:30 p.m., covering approximately 89 kilometers. When it's winter, especially in Maritzburg, I don't know how they do it. Freezing cold. You can actually see, the hair follicles all standing up. But then I think running, they feel a bit hot. People take part in the Comrade Marathons for a variety of powerful reasons, often tied to a personal growth, athletic reasons, and so many others, tradition, prestige, community, camaraderie, can even be one of your bucket lists. I need to run the Comrades. Well, each participant has their own story and motivation, but all show a deep respect for the race and what it represents. Well, alhamdulillah, this evening we have Sara, Mahomedy, an occupational therapist, and someone who ran the Comrades not once, not twice, but inshallah, I think this might be a third or a fourth one, but we'll catch up with her in a bit. And everybody knows, Mondi. Veronica, welcome back to School Matters. My co-host, my sidekick, you're always there. Thank you for coming.
Sumaya.
She's a true friend, Sara, because she came here in the rain, in the storm. Yeah, you came
swimming through.
Well, absolutely, it's truly inspiring, the grit, determination, and the heart it takes to run about 89 plus kilometers through hills, heat, and fatigue. It's remarkable. Every runner out there has trained for months, faced personal battles, and pushed themselves to incredible limits. It's not just a race, it's a celebration of human endurance and spirit and respect. And indeed, that is why when I find out someone ran the Comrades Marathon, it's like you just want to sit back and say, wow, I can't believe they did it. And how did they do that? Well, again, we have Sara, Mahomedy. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to School Matters.
Walaikum salam. Thanks for having me again on the show.
Wow. I can't believe you ran the Comrades. There's very few Muslim women you find running the Comrades. And, well, your story is so different why you are running the Comrades. So before we go into that, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in the Comrades Marathon.
So, that I'm an occupational therapist, but I've always enjoyed fitness or being fit in some way. I think I get that from both my parents. I've always seen my mom, she used to do aerobics, and my dad, he used to actually do jogs. He used to go for a jog, come back, and I'll see him working out in the lounge. So it's in our genes, to stay fit, to be fit, or to do some sort of fitness. My brother, my sister, and I. My brother cycles, so he's done many a cycle, the Argus, and he's done, not sure what it's called, but a 200-kilometer one in Cape Town. And so it's in our genetics. And I started running. I think my mom, growing up, we used to partake in like the spa race. As a group of ladies from Verulam, we used to go in a taxi, and we'll hire a taxi and we all go. And I was very young at that point. And at that point, we used to like run it with my sister. And then from there, I was always on the chubbier side in high school, especially. I went to a girls' school, and there we did minimal sport. So, the hormones and that kick in. And I think from about standard 9 or matric, I started then running. I used to actually wake up in the mornings. You can say for matric or before. I used to wake up in the mornings and I used to go in the neighborhood, like 4:30 in the morning. I used to go for my run. And that was just maybe 4, 5, never measured. We didn't have Garmin watches at that point. So we didn't know the distance we were doing. And then from there, it progressed into, university. But at that point, I hadn't done anything more than 10 kilometers, in distance, meaning 10 kilometers. Like the spa race was the only race that I took part in. And then throughout before I got married, I used to do the same. I had that habit, campus, like 4:30 in the morning, go for my run, come back, get ready, and leave home at 6.
So good.
So it was part of my routine, and, part just to stay healthy, stay fit, stay slim. And at that point, when you're young, it's more to stay slim more than anything else.
Still true now.
Yeah, definitely. And then I got married, and I still continued. I tried taking my husband. It wasn't his thing. It's never been and never will be. And then it progressed from there. I had my kids. I still did it with my daughter. I used to put her in the pram. I got one of those 3-wheeler prams to push her to go on our runs, but it wasn't long runs. It was like nothing more than 5Ks, at a time. And then I had my son, and I went into a bit of a rut, where with now having 2 kids and trying to juggle, and my pregnancy was very different with him. With my daughter, I swam throughout my pregnancy. Wow. So I didn't run, but I used to, like my husband and I, he'd come with me and we'd go down to the pool, and I would swim. He would just enjoy himself floating in the water and I would, but he accompanied me. And with my son, I didn't have that energy that I did for my daughter. I even did with her, I did Pilates like right up until 7 or 8 months. So I always enjoyed doing something. And then once after my son was about 2, I said no, just for my mental sanity. I struggle with anxiety as well. I become very anxious very easily, and whether it's life stresses or life just getting to you. And I told myself, I cannot keep doing this. I need an outlet. And at that point, I didn't know any running clubs. And so I decided to join the gym, the Planet Fitness. They had a track. And I said, for safety reasons, I'll run there, because I was too afraid now to run. Before, at that point, I was in Sherwood. In Musgrave, it was still, I enjoyed, Essenwood Road, and it was a little bit safer. And then whilst being there, I used to then start taking my chances and going onto the road again, And then from there, I met guys like early in the morning. So I used to run up like Devon Terrace, Essex, and back to the gym. And then I met some guys along the way where I used to see them. And then so the one day I drummed up the courage to go and speak to them. And from there, that's how it started. They encouraged me to join them. So they were a group of runners from Sydenham. And that's how I got into now running. And from there, joining them, that's how I got into doing my first 21, which was in 2019. At that point, my brother was also running. He was also running a 21. No, I think he did the 21 as well. And he had also just started running at that point in his life, doing his first marathon, and he stopped running because of injury, and now he cycles. And then 2020, I did my first marathon, my first 42. But I did not have the confidence to run comrades at that point. Most of the guys that I was running with, most of them had done comrades or were running the comrades. They were running actually to qualify, at that, it was a Deloitte at that point. Now it's the Baldwin Marathon. And And then COVID hit. But I continued. I used to run in my complex eventually when we could leave the house. And I used to like run in the complex, run at home. And once, they call it the runner's high. Once you start running, it's just that feeling that it gives you.
Yeah.
It's the energy you feel, my mood. I'm happier. I just feel it helps me cope with life, with my kids, being a mother. And that's how it, comrades, eventually, it was always on my bucket list. My dad was we always thought he would do it. Unfortunately, his health and life got in the way of that. And he passed away early. And I always thought my sister, she always said she would do it. She never went down that road. So it was like on my bucket list. It was just something I wanted to tick off my bucket list. And in 2023, so 2020 COVID hit, and then after COVID, once then I started taking it seriously, and I said no. Then I said for my 40th birthday, I'll run my first comrades when I'm 40, but it turned out I was 38 at that point. And it happened sooner, but it was the confidence. So the more you ran, the more you trained, the more confident you become, the more mileage you do. I can do it. I did my first marathon, and which is the 42. Then. So, and it just both from there, and being surrounded by other runners, they motivated me and said, no, if you can do it, if you can run a 42, you can do comrades. And everyone always told me, comrades they always say it's 40% physical and 60% mental. And it's true, because to actually finish that race, it's your mind that gets you through it. The guys that crash and tell themselves and eventually say, you know what, I had enough, I can't do it, they stop. It's your mind that gets you through it. And so in 2023, it was my first one, so I trained and qualified. And so you got to qualify and do, at that point, it was a 42.2 in 4 hours, 50 minutes. This year, they've actually increased it to 5 hours. And that's how it began. So it went from 1, and everyone's like, no, you have to do your back-to-back to get your back-to-back medal. So when you do your second one, you get your second medal. On top of it, you get a back-to-back medal. So you get 3 medals.
Wow.
And then from there, it went to 3. So we'll see what next year brings. I did say I'm taking a break next year, but now that the training has kind of ended, because now we tapering and the mileage is done and the work is done, I miss being you become part of a community. Doing all these long runs and, these beloved long runs. They organize the route testers before comrades. So running from Pietermaritzburg to Hillcrest. And they organize the comrades in 3 days, and just being part of that community. It's a sense of community, a sense of belonging. And for me, it's a goal. It keeps me running, it keeps me going. It keeps me running. And so I feel if I stop doing comrades, then, it's going to, I may just become too lazy or laid back. So it's a motivation. It's a motivation to keep going.
I think there's 100 years. Is it next year or the year thereafter? I think that could be.
No, definitely. I plan to do that one.
Motivation for you for that.
Yeah, I plan to do that one. I just thought that next year I'd give my body a break because it's injury as well. Your body takes a beating, like your hamstrings, and I'm still running with injury from my first comrades. Although it doesn't stop me. It's not like I'm struggling, but it's there.
So I think the 100 year.
No, definitely.
Everybody.
Definitely.
And I think if you can try and get that one in.
Yeah.
I think the quest for many people to complete that one will be
there's
huge.
a lot of people are going for their first one in 2027.
Yeah.
So that's definitely, I'm going to do that one, but we'll see. But I can see now that it's ending, I may just, I said that last year that I'm not running again, but I did.
But you can't stop.
Yeah, because once you stop, then you may never get back on the wagon again,
Well, this is it. And I think just maintain until you do the 100. And then that's sort of, that's the goal.
But then I'll be running if I do the 100, my fifth.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, no, 5 more for my green number.
Yeah.
So that's what keeps runners going, And no one understands it unless you're in it. You really don't understand it.
While doing some research on the comrades, I discovered that so many educators run.
Yeah.
And there's someone from Sydenham, Tommy, they call him. He ran 45 races, and we're going to try to link up with him. 45. And
Fantastic,
I think he's in his 70s, maybe mid-70s or late 70s. Remember, what was that guy who used to run when we were little? He was the oldest comrade runner. Holly?
Hayward.
Hayward.
Hayward. Was it Billy? Not Billy. Hayward, but he's passed away now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. He used to walk it. And there was this whole bus that was walking with him.
Yes.
And if you could stick with him, you made it. But you had to stick with him. And he walked it.
Yeah, no, you can.
Yeah.
You can, because they're brisk walking. They're not
Yes.
walking. Like what people don't understand.
Yeah.
Because comrades, nobody, well, your elite runners run
Yeah.
it. They
Wow.
don't stop running. But for the most part, most people, it's a run. You run walk. It's a run walk strategy. Especially on the hills, it's like, you run for 10, you walk for 10. So you count to 10, or you walk pole to pole or tree to tree.
That was my theory, the
Yeah.
pole to pole.
Yeah.
Helen Luca taught me that. She told it. Initially, I was a sprinter as a youngster. So I ran 180 meter sprinters,
Okay.
and I was pretty good at that.
You do the mile.
Yeah, but my build up to that was pretty much that I was saying that I was trying to do the Iron Lady.
Okay.
So I started running, and I went to a talk with Helen Luca, and she was saying pole, lamppost, and then you do. And for the people out there at home, if you think you can't, I promise you this works. Where you walk from a lamppost to a lamppost, and you run a lamppost to a lamppost.
That's how you start.
And then what you do is then you walk one lamppost and you run two lampposts
Yes.
until you're around the block. And once you can run around the block, then you can still like have that rest, but then you run twice around the block. And so you can actually extend. And that really, really, really works.
Yeah.
And that was the best advice somebody's ever given me, because I hated running. I was pretty much like you. I just jumped from I used to run on the beachfront many years ago. I was running there. And I ran a 10K as well, the ladies. And then I ran some other 10. And then decided to do a 21 and loved it. Then I ran a 42 2 weeks later. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to do the comrades. So I was trying to push for the comrades, but I did the Lady Smith 56.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that one didn't went too well. I wasn't feeling well that day. So I battled, and then I sort of didn't qualify for comrades.
Oh,
so my time wasn't good there.
That's the thing. You can never say, like, your trainings can go really well, but on race day you can never say what's going to happen.
Never.
For most of my races and qualifiers, I feel terrible.
Yeah.
I'm like tired, and then the nausea sets in, or there's toilet issues. Anything.
That was my problem. That with the 56. So I never completed the Iron Lady or the Iron whatever I wanted to do. I did the August.
Okay.
Did the Midmar, and I was trying to do comrades.
Okay.
Now, you're running comrades, but you did not tell our listeners for what course you're doing it.
Oh, that's good.
I just saw a picture of like a super lady with the cape.
Yeah.
So I'm running for charity, the community chest. A friend of mine, her sister works there. So this year they approached me to ask me, would I like to run for charity? And I said, why not? Because their charity supports like early childhood development centers.
Yeah.
And for me, that's very close to my heart as an occupational therapist, working with children with disability. And, that's where it begins. So I know what it's like to work in an environment where there's lack of resources. I mean, in government, there's lack of resources. So, and so they raise funds for these centers so that they can have the resources for these children to learn at the best, and do the best that they can. So, so I am raising funds for if there's a link, so they link up, and then whoever you go out and you market and you try and get people to donate. And I think, I'm not sure, I haven't looked at my how much I've raised. I think my 20,000 Rand was my target, but I think I've raised at least 10 10,000.
That's good.
There's a lot of, but there's guys doing it for years, and some guys have raised up to 100,000. A friend of mine, the CIC,
they're networking with the right people.
Yes, no, definitely. I'm terrible at the networking part.
Yeah.
But I'm glad. I didn't think
10,000 rands a lot.
Yes, it is.
It's not better than nothing.
Yeah.
I must say.
So, and it's for a good cause.
And you know what?
It's
It's also motivation for others who are listening to you right now. Maybe we should start.
Yeah.
Because as I mentioned earlier on, you find very few Muslim women in KZN who run, and very, very few. And, tell me how you juggle family, cooking, chores, work, and training, especially a woman. Like generally, I'm not maybe I'm stereotyping here, but generally, like, the woman sails the ship. She has so much responsibilities. A man can come home, take out his shoes off.
Oh, definitely. I totally agree.
So how do you do it?
Well, I have to, give my husband credit, without his support, because he does help. He helps me a lot with my kids. I still do the cooking. The cooking is not his part, but in every other way, he helps. For me, I get my training out early in the morning. So I'm a morning person. I cannot do evenings unless if I'm too tired in the morning, or some mornings you just don't want to wake up extra early. Then I'll force myself to do it in the evenings, especially, during Ramadan when we're fasting. That's very challenging. And usually, like most people train just before breaking fast, I usually cramp. I cramp so badly that I can't. But this year I had a good Ramadan. I managed to do my training before breaking fast, and the days were longer.
So how did you manage?
Well, the days were long, so hence I didn't go in the morning. When it was shorter days, my first comrades, I trained straight after Seri in the morning, straight after eating, and the days were shorter and it wasn't so hot. But this year it was hot. So had I trained early in the morning, I would have struggled with thirst the whole day. I would have had a headache. But I managed. The thing is, Sumaya, it's mind over matter. You put your mind, it's all mental. If you put your mind to something, it forces me now running for comedy. It forces me to stay fit. It forces me to go out for that run, even if I don't want to do it sometimes. But it forces me to do it, and the biggest reason I do it. I'm selfish. I do it for myself. I really do it for myself. I am, yes, for my kids. I want to be like that role model. I want them to see, that you can do anything that you set your mind to, so that one day maybe, they would want to do it or just achieve, it tells them that I can achieve anything, whether it doesn't have to be running, anything else in their life, whatever they set their mind to, they can do it. But for the most part, I train in the morning. So it's like 4 days a week. I run to finish. I don't run for a 9-hour or a 10-hour. A lot of my friends this year, a lot of them have coaches that coach them and give them a schedule for the week, and you got to make certain mileage in the week. And I do the basic training, the basic comrades training. And usually my runs, I run 3 days in the week. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sometimes Monday, Wednesday. It just depends. But for the most part, those 3 days in the mornings. And so I wake up at about 4 o'clock. Now we're running at about 5 because it's darker and for safety reasons. So there's me and 2 other ladies. They've run it before. They don't run comrades. They just train and run. And my other friend, she does cross country, and the other one just stays, runs to stay fit. But they have run comrades, so they experience in that way. So I wake up at 4 and then immediately wake up, make lunch, get ready in that. And then I set the alarm for my daughter. She's older. When they were young, it was when I did my first comrades, it was tough because I had to be home by a certain time to make sure to wake them up, for them to go into the shower and all of that. And like my husband helps with the breakfast. So that part he helps with. So I don't do that. And, once the training is done in the morning, the rest of my day is free. And comrades is just not running. You have to include like cross training. So you can swim, you can cycle, but strength training is very important.
Wow. Well, we will take a short ad break and definitely continue.
I can go on and on.
So visit Radio Al-Ansar.
This Eid al-Adha, the Al-Imdad Foundation offers you a unique opportunity to share your Qurbani with Palestinian refugees and displaced families in Gaza. Our canned Kurbani program allows you to provide a ready-to-eat high-protein meal to starving Palestinian families. For just 3,450 Rand per share, we will slaughter, can and distribute your Kurbani. Donate in your name, for a loved one, or in honor of our beloved Prophet, peace be upon him. Visit alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
This Rabiul Awal, perform your Umrah with Show Mirage Travel from the 1st to the 14th of September 2025. Enjoy 6 nights in Medina and 6 nights in Makkah with full guided ziyarats. Flights from Johannesburg, visa, medical insurance, top hotels, all included. Prices from just 25,999 per person sharing. Personally escorted by the Show Mirage Travel team. Call 031 208 4222 or visit miragetravel.co.za. Show Mirage Travel, your trusted name in sacred journeys.
Audio stream across the world on radioalansar.co.za.
Every student can learn, just not on the same day or the same way. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. Education's purpose is to replace an empty mind with an opened one.
Join Sumaya Khan every Tuesdays between 7 and 8 p.m. for an educational evening exclusive to Radio Al-Ansar.
Your education is a dress rehearsal for a life that is yours to lead.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to School Matters. Yes, it's so exciting. I feel like jumping, doing some exercise. You're such a motivation, Sara. We have Sara Mahomedy. We're talking about comrades. She runs the comrades. We have Veronica, old-time friend of School Matters and part of School Matters. She does the Midma Mile. And we're talking about fitness, health. You know, in today's times, our children are stuck to the gadgets. We do not see children playing in the park. We do not see teenagers doing anything. Everything is embarrassing. How do we get the youth to be involved in fitness?
I think that's where educators play such a vital role, you know, in terms of getting learners to partake. I, for example, and we were talking about this, I would always take a team with to Midma. I have swum the Midma 25 years now. And not anymore, but I did and got my green numbers and stuff. So the double green and so forth. And so it was quite nice. But you get the scholars. I got teachers to swim. Teachers that never ever thought you don't need to be a brilliant swimmer to be able to swim. And like you say, initially my swimming was like fast. And as the age stepped in, it just got slower and slower. And my when I was trying to run as well, my races, I was always there just before the cutoff. You know, that was me. Yeah. And
but you did it.
Exactly. And I had no issue with that.
No.
And for me, I finished it, and it was my personal goal. So I think with the learners, if they start understanding that this fitness is good for them, you know. And if there's a role model that can inspire them, that is normally the problem. Who in the family, who at school inspires them? Because I've had learners that I never ever thought, and I teach them quickly how to swim. And before I know it, there they go, and then they swim and they get it done. You know, but you're quite right. The gadgets, unfortunately, sometimes the attraction there is bigger than the motivation to take part in sport.
During the holidays, when we're sitting at a mall or wherever having coffee or, you know, a meal, you can see the youth. Again, I'm stereotyping. They are more a bit on the healthy side, plumpy side, obese side, because there's no physical activity and couch potatoes. And even if they are at a restaurant, they're on their gadgets. Well, we are also guilty of that. But, I mean, they're starting off so small. You know.
It's the lifestyle today. You know, things are very different to when we were growing up. You know, we didn't have social media, but it's also like the lifestyle. Today, both parents are working and, you know, mom can't cook today. So then you end up just buying takeout. It takes a lot of effort. Like, you know, you ask me, how do I juggle? It takes a lot of effort. Like, I'm not saying my husband and my children don't help, but at the end of the day, I'm an, you know, A-type personality. So, you know, if I can run a 52 kilometer, 56, but then you still got to come home. I will not rest until my work is done. So
Okay.
whether it's tidying up the house and ensuring that, there's breakfast or cooking or whatever it is, doing and washing like on the weekends, Fortunately, I have a helper in the week, but on the weekends I don't. And no matter what, everyone says the day before comrades, be off your feet, you must rest. For a female, it's not possible.
Impossible.
It's impossible. For a man, he can still come home, kick off shoes, and lay on the
Exactly.
couch. That's just the, maybe I'm stereotyping.
We are stereotyping so badly.
Yeah.
I
not
think
all
it
men
depends
do
on the
that.
household.
It depends on the household.
Yeah.
But for
I have to stand up for the men here.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know a few good men there.
but we are brought up in that type of environment,
Well, I think the three of us are what, A-type, I would say.
It must be.
Yeah. So
Must
it's
be.
hard. Like it makes it harder.
And-
But
and-
it's also the parents.
Yeah.
We've got to lead by example. So if you want your children to be healthier and and that's one of the reasons I do it. Like my daughter is very much like my husband.
Yeah.
She enjoys sports. They love sport. She'll play any kind of sport and she's good at it. But ask her to exercise or she'd rather sleep late.
Yeah.
And my son is very much like me. So where he'll come in and, I call him a hype man. So if, if
Yeah.
I'm doing something, he mimics him. He mimics me.
Yeah.
And very similar in personality as well. But it starts from home as well. It starts at school, the schools we're sending our kids to, the choices we're making. And it doesn't always have to cost money. Running does cost your tackies and other things. But, you can get sponsors out there for the kids.
Yeah.
The same with swimming. And it starts from school and it starts from home.
Do you know, is it true that you eat a whole lot of spaghetti? Because when we were growing up, we were told like comrades, they have to sleep and they must eat spaghetti.
Carbo loading.
Yeah, carbo
So
loading.
generally the week before they call it carbo loading. I've never, and then they'll have these pasta parties and,
Okay, so it's
pizza
true.
parties. Yeah, no, it is. It's
Very
a thing.
much.
And
Even with the swimming and
yeah.
stuff. And lots of salt on your
Yes.
chips. If you're
Yeah,
eating chips,
yeah.
lots of salt. for the
electrolytes
cramps.
the week
Okay.
before. And
And cramping and stuff
And
like
your
that.
diet?
one of the reasons I run is so that I don't have to diet.
Yeah.
Everything in moderation. I try to eat green. I try to eat healthy. It doesn't always work. After a long run, I can binge on a big packet of chips,
Yeah.
but I do it freely, you know.
You're going to burn
no
those
guilt.
calories.
No guilt.
Yeah.
And before you're running,
Before, you mean like the day before?
or the morning,
The morning.
or even the day.
So for comrades, for example, for that week, yes, I'll try and have a lot of carbs, whether it's rice, pasta, potato. They say carbo load, but I eat my normal. I eat
Yeah.
what I eat, but in general, I love carbs. Carbs is my weak spot.
Everyone.
I
So
just
what
love
snacks
carbs.
do you carry with you when you run? Do you carry snacks?
So I've tried. I don't carry snacks. I may carry like dates, your energy gels. Everyone, like some people say, no, at halfway, eat a sandwich. And I tried my first year. I made peanut butter sandwiches. I could not swallow it. Everybody's different, but I cannot eat when I'm running. I cannot. I tried last year. I said, okay, let's try chicken and mayo in a row. My husband gave me, because I had it when I saw them at Botha's Hill. I took half. I had like 2 bites and I'm gagging. And I literally got rid of it. So what works for me is I eat a lot of fruit. So I'll take off the road.
Oranges and stuff.
So oranges and bananas. Bananas, I love. It goes down very well.
Yeah.
It gives me
Bananas
that,
are good for
yeah, it gives me that energy.
Natural,
Doesn't
yeah.
make me nauseous. My first comrades at halfway, I felt ill. The more comrades you run, I'm not a 20. I don't have a green number.
Yeah.
Give chance, you'll get there.
Yeah. But the more you run, the more experienced you become. You know what works for you. You know what doesn't. I know, like I can't do caffeine. So those caffeine gels, Coke, I stay away from. It makes me. I became like delirious at halfway. I took
water.
on top of it, I took a pain tablet. Like people told me, no, have a Tupanado, and someone else told me, no, whatever pain tablet. So I took it was like not my Gen pain.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I suffer with ulcers. I became so nauseous. I was delirious. Do not ask me how I made it from Drummond to Hillcrest. I don't know what in between. It was my mind. I was actually like, my head is down. I'm tearing. I'm talking to myself. No, Sara, you can do it. Sara, do not fall down. If you fall down, you're not going to wake up. So that's why they say it's 60% mental. And so I learned my lesson then. And I won't make that same mistake. And now I keep Rennies on me. You keep diarrhea tablets on you, nausea tablets. Veronica mentioned, anything can go wrong. And I think one of the main things for runners is running tummy, like the vomiting or the dizziness and the nausea. And it's because of you're not eating and sometimes all those gels. And so you figure out what works for you. And the morning off, I generally can't eat so early in the morning. I have to force myself.
And after the comrades, what do you do the next day? Go back to work?
My first comrades, I did go. I limped, and it was my first one. I wanted to be there. It was exciting to be around your friends, and but last year I didn't. I took the day off, and because you saw, but the second day is actually worse than the first. It's worse than the first. You like, and
that's where the ice bath comes in.
Yes,
that's where the ice bath. Yeah.
So, but you know what? It's so worth the pain. It's so worth the pain. And every
You're
time
motivating everyone right now who's listening.
During the race, there's always a point where every runner hits a wall and like you question, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? But
I think it's any challenge that you do.
Yeah.
Anything that you do, whether you are studying, sorry that I'm interrupting
No,
here,
not at all.
But I think anything that you do in life, or any challenge that is not normal to your normal lifestyle, you go and then you think, why is it all this self-inflicted pain? Why am I doing this to myself?
Yes.
And once you get over that little bridge, then I always say that's your downhill. And then you think, like when you study, and I just yesterday, an old boy walked in, and he's sitting there and he's saying to me, ma'am, shucks, he says, I'm third year now. He says, it's driving me insane.
Yeah.
The workload is so much. He says, I don't know how to cope with this. I said, but you're over the worst. You're now on the downhill.
Exactly.
Oh, he says, no, he didn't realize that. He didn't think of it like that.
In anything in life, you got to look at it that way. It's the same with comrades. You start off with you're 1 kilometer in, and then you're 2 and you think, oh my God, I've got 87 more, 86 more. But once you pass that halfway mark, and for me, I love the down run. The down run, the people.
Not bad on your knees.
I don't love it for the pain. I love it for the camaraderie. I love it for the people.
The Durbanites.
You're seeing your people. From Hillcrest onwards, there's someone or the other that you're going to see.
And you know.
And that you know. And that's why they say it's, it's a mental race too, because...
comrades in arms.
Yes, and like my first one, I hadn't seen my husband. I didn't have a phone that year. I said, no, I'm not carrying a phone. And he was tracking me, but the tracker was delayed. So if he thought I'm still coming, I passed that point.
Okay.
So I never saw him up until Hillcrest. And it started, and then I felt ill at halfway. And it started affecting me mentally. And when I saw them in Hillcrest, I'm coming down Botha's Hill, I burst out crying. It was just to see my mom, to see my brother, to see my husband and my kids. It was more of a relief than anything. And then it was like my second wind. I felt so energetic. It was, it gave me the boost that I needed.
So, it's all about the mind, motivation, determination, sacrifice, and going for your goal. But when you look at our youth today, many of them, they just give up. What is it? We need to
instant gratification.
That's it. They say it's a generation of instant gratification.
Yeah. So
yes,
if I want a PlayStation, I get a PlayStation. If I want a phone, I've gotten a phone. Children are 6, 7, 8, and so there's no delayed gratification. There's no if you do this and this and this, then you will get it. You
don't need to work for it. You'll just get it.
Yeah. So whatever a child wants today, they get it. And so it's the same. You'll see it in the workplace as well with your youth. Very different work ethic. Very different work ethic as compared to how we are. But they're very confident at the same time.
But it doesn't bother them.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't bother them.
It's like they will tell you what to do. So it's basically the instant gratification. They want things, they don't have that patience. And to do something like the comrades, you have to have patience.
Wow.
You have to have. I don't have patience.
It's teaching
but it
you
teaches
sabr,
you.
patience.
Yes, it does.
Teaching you.
And
when you
commitment.
think about it.
Commitment.
And acceptance, I think very much acceptance. Because you're pushing your body sometimes when your body's not wanting to respond.
Yes.
And that you have to, as I got older, I became a little bit more blind. So there was always these trees there at the end. And for some reason, as I progressed through my 25 years, I could not see the trees when I was in the water. So I always teased and said I was finding the Loch Ness monster in the dam, because I'd go to the left and swim onto the side there, touch the grass.
Yes.
I was always checking if the grass was fine.
Okay.
And then I'd swim to the right. In the same breath, I'd go to the right and I'll touch the boats there. So my time was not the fastest time in the end. But that is now, when your body now isn't playing along.
Yeah.
And then you finish there and you think,
yeah.
But you know
you
what?
made it.
You persevere. You have to now make so much more effort. You have to motivate yourself so much more. And I think for the listeners out there, that is what it's about. Anything that we take on in life is always about pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone. And I think that is what's so important. And I think we as parents need to teach our children that, so that, because life, we make a life for our children so comfortable, but life, when they leave us, it's not going to be comfortable for them. They have to face those challenges.
Since you mentioned that, it's a trend where everyone's going China to become doctors and teaching. And when I did a show once, one of the learners said they were actually gone in depression because they had helpers, food was cooked, everything was done. And now someone who never washed clothes their whole life, they have to wash clothes.
Yes. So it's that independence, it's teaching, we have to force our kids to teach them, we have to teach them independence. And you're a working mom, and it's teaching them independence, resilience, perseverance, everything. Today, for most of our kids, everything is found.
Exactly.
Everything is found. We do not realize how fortunate, they don't realize how fortunate they are in, what they have, So that's why, that's another reason why raising funds for the charity, because most of these children are, they don't come. Yes, they have barriers, and they don't come from the homes our children come from. They have social challenges.
Yeah.
So
and society rejects many of them. So they have so many
because we don't understand.
We don't understand. So I actually must say to you, I actually I applaud your efforts, to do this, and I really hope that you actually manage to generate.
And if someone would like to contribute, donations and charity, your contact details.
So they can contact me on 072 300 3654. And then I will send them the information or the link, because it's very easy. Just click on the link and it takes you to the donation page and you can donate. I'm halfway. I would appreciate it if, anything that I could raise, as much as I could raise to reach my target. I would really appreciate it. And so would the community chest.
Well, we're running up. We're running up this year, huh? Down. So definitely, listeners, big white page, massive Sara.
Which club do you run for? Which club?
Durban Runner.
Durban Runner. It's a blue uniform, isn't it?
No, it's black and green.
Go black and green. Black and green. Very good looking lady. There we go.
At the finish, I'll be running with my red cape for community chest.
Definitely.
Is there a site on the community chest where they can go and look in case they missed your telephone number? Is there a link there maybe
on the I'm not sure on the website, but my number, I can repeat it. It's 072 300 3654.
Okay, we'll leave it with the.
If not, call the community chest and
they can
give them and they would guide them.
Your parting words to the working mums who want to exercise
and say they don't have time.
It's like, you'd rather watch the exercise on television and eat the chips.
exercise is not for everyone. Not everybody enjoys it. But once you start and you continue and you push, and then you realize, hey, my body I can do that. And then from there, it's almost a bug that bites. And there's no such thing. I don't believe in anything where I don't believe in the fact that there's no time.
Yeah.
If you really want to do something, you will find the time. There's some times where I run in the morning, I come home, I cook, teach my kids, and then I do a workout in the evening. I don't like the gym, so I prefer, I've got my weights, but I make the time. And I don't feel good on my day, whether if I don't run, then I do a workout. If I don't do some sort of fitness, I know as women, hormones, menopause, it becomes difficult, but it's mind over matter. It's just about getting off that couch and making a start, taking a walk, like Veronica said, taking a walk around your block, lamppost to lamppost, and that's how you would achieve it.
Well, you definitely motivated me.
And go and do.
It doesn't have to be running. It can be anything.
But you can even walk that, and go and run at these races, the lady races.
Exactly.
It's such a nice camaraderie, and it's that
spirit.
It is so nice,
and it's a social thing. So if you're someone who I'm not a social runner. I can run alone. I can run 30 kilometers alone. But it's not for everyone. Some people, it's a social. Like now there's so many groups. You get the Adidas runners. They're a huge community. They're a growing community. Many
of the housewife runners. They just leave the
anything. Find a friend and say, we're going to do the East Coast Radio big walk, or
the spa
or the total sport. Start with those. Start small.
Start small. So start small.
And walking doesn't have to be running.
Fun. It must be fun.
Yes.
Whether
it's yoga or Pilates or
we want to run before we can walk. So we need to start small.
Baby steps.
Yeah. But you don't have to run it. You can just walk it. And as I say, it's fun.
And your parting words, Veronica?
Just get up and go while you can, because as you get older, then all the aches and pains start kicking on, and then you, like me, where you have to now give up because now when you swim, the arms ache.
You did it 25 times.
Yes, I did, and unfortunately, shame. I used to do triathlons many years ago, and I was knocked down by a car. So I picked up a disability. So the aches and pains started kicking in, and so I had to stop. So unfortunately, I did.
Do it while you can.
So while you can, do it.
Well, I'd like to extend my sincere thank you to both you guys for being here. But Sara, no, definitely on a serious note, you have motivated, because sometimes we need that extra push. And especially us being women, we'll think like, okay, it's Sunday now, let's cook something nice, call mommy, call daddy, let's go somewhere nice and eat something. But we can all go for a run or something like that.
Put it in the slow cooker and just run and then come back.
Take your husband, take your kids,
take everybody.
Hire a bike, take a bicycle and ride a bicycle and the promenade, anything.
Well, it was a pleasure having you guys. And a special thank you to my technician, Mondi, for making the show possible behind the scenes. No one knows what goes on. My email address is sumayakhan.alansar@outlook.com. Champions keep playing until they get it right. The only way to prove that you're good sport is to lose. Sports not only build champions, they build communities. Assalamu alaikum.
Subhanallah, walhamdulillah.